Let me quickly go through. So I'll tell you maybe a couple stories, in a very layman's language. Um, so um, so you all know now, are familiar with large language models, generative AI, and of course fake news, deep fakes, and a lot of misinformation, a lot of that. So how does AI work, right? So think of a child, imagine a child, so AI actually learns, right? AI is modeled after human behavior, human learning. So imagine a child, and when the child, a little one, like a 1 year, 2 year old, we teach the child learns, like we tell, okay, this is grass is green, sky is blue, rose is red, and so on. And we give data points to the child, right? And these data points are assimilated in the child's brain, which has got about 100 billion neurons. And the neurons get connected based on this data. And neurons actually get connected using electrical signals, chemical signals. And whenever the child learns something new based on the data, then the child actually, there are certain neural networks are formed, they go to the memory, right? And when I ask a question, for example, I ask the question, uh, ask the child to fill in the gap, right? So, okay, the grass is, and the child will complete the sentence saying green, right? How? Because the child has learned from previous data, hearing from hundreds of people, looking at hundreds of pictures. Those are data points. And those have gone to the neurons, and the neurons have formed neural networks based on this data to enable the child to predict the next word or the next sentence given a prompt. So the grass is a prompt, and the child generates the next word, green. The sky is, that's the prompt, and the child generates the next word, blue. That's exactly how the large language models work, the generative AI, and a lot of these things work. They take some input and they generate one word, 10 words, sentences, paragraphs, movies. Right? But then how does the AI engine work? This is exactly how the child's training, learning happens. We mimic the same kind of things using computer programs called statistical learning or the machine learning models, right? So the machine learning models or the deep learning models, they mimic the behavior of a human neuron by using a set of mathematical formulas or the statistical formulas that each neuron that is simulated in the AI or machine learning will take multiple signals and then use a set of statistical equations, matrix multiplications, and actually, step function to say, okay, if this output of this neuron is this much, then I predict that the output will be this much. Prediction, right? Statistics. And then there will be thousands of inputs coming to thousands of neurons, or millions of input coming to thousands of neurons, and they're connected in layers. And at the output, that the output, the generation or prediction depends on the input you gave, and then these mathematical equations. So that's the model. The mathematical equations is the model. And the algorithm that actually computes these mathematical uh, formulations based on the data, that's the machine learning model, right? And the today's large language models or generative AI models like ChatGPT, Llama, and now DeepSeek and others, they are based on the same neural network model, right? The neural network model is the heart of the AI engine, which also is the heart of our own human brains, right? So, so this is how AI model works, right? All kinds of models. But then you see that whatever data we give, that's the most important thing in the output of the AI engine. If we teach the child the grass is blue and the sky is green, the child will say, well, so the grass is blue, right? So that's exactly how this whole world of generative AI works. If you feed right kind of data, you get right kind of output, right kind of news, right kind of information, right kind of prediction, right kind of summaries, right? So Data is key. So the the genesis or the actual the cause or the the what causes misinformation and fake news is fake data, right? So um, if the AI engine is trained on data that has been created artificially by robots or by demagogues like or, many of these world leaders today, as you very well know. So they would actually generate wrong information and they will be replicated by their followers. And that wrong information goes to the digital world, and then AI picks up those, and then actually it gives you wrong information, right? So that's actually that's how rumors spread, because this wrong data is fed or misinformation is fed, and these kind of things, that causes things like social revolutions or rebellions, right? Misinformation, suicides, right? Depression, right? Because of all kinds of misinformation in social media that's generated by these AI engines, also called recommender systems, right? So um, there is a um, documentary on Netflix. It's called Social Dilemma. So this Netflix documentary actually summarizes the the problem of misinformation and the social evils caused by misinformation. So if you have watched it, great. If you have not watched it, everybody in all walks of life, especially people who deal with communication and media and psychology, I recommend that you watch Social Dilemma. It's a 2020, 2020 documentary movie on Netflix. Right? So, so what the problem that this movie, Social Dilemma, tries to depict is, so what is the social dilemma? Is that the interests of an individual or an individual organization or a business may not be the same as the interests of the overall society. So what do we do? That's the dilemma, right? So individuals, they try to spread their ideologies, right? Like the example of the one of the top countries president says, right? Or the other leaders, right? So or the ideologues, I mean, on both sides, left and right, right? Uh, so someone tries to propagate their ideologies or ideas, they can make use of all the social networks, like WhatsApp, right, Instagram, to mobilize people to say the same things. That's the rumor, right? And then when it gets into the social media, that gets fed as data to the AI engine, and uh, and then the businesses, they try to sell their products, like even the OTT platforms, right? They want to sell something. The movies, they try to sell something, even people, the quacks, they try to sell something. They will try to generate, sometimes, not everybody, unethical ones, right? They will try to generate information that suits their interest, but may not be may actually be detrimental to the interests of the society, the common people, right? So so the wrong information being created by individuals, organizations, or individual businesses is geared toward the gain, the self-interest, whereas the society's interests are different. They need the right kind of information, right kind of output, yeah, right kind of guidance, right kind of recommendations. Right? So there was and also this Netflix documentary was based on an MIT study in around 2018 that actually um, found out, or not found out, that proved that lies or misinformation, they travel 6 times faster than truth. Actually, there is a saying that a lie can travel half the world while the truth is putting on its shoes, right? And the MIT study actually proved that by doing a lot of um, a lot, talking to a lot of people and taking actually data from the internet. So, so now And because and then actually because the um, this kind of information, misinformation, we see the examples like election interference, or actually even sometimes rebellion, right? So these are caused by this false information and depression among the young kids, right? The false information and the false narrative about society and how they should interact, right? What is the ideal for them? Those false narratives that causes a lot of social upheavals, right? So actually, one of one of the top scientists, Jeffrey Hinton. Actually, some people they call him the father of modern AI. So Hinton was a professor at University of Toronto who later joined Google DeepMind, right? And he earned a lot of money, millions and millions. And he also got the Nobel Prize in physics. He was a computer scientist getting Nobel Prize in physics for having made this neural network model popular. He didn't invent it. There were a lot of people did a lot of work, but then, so he's not the only father of AI. There are multiple fathers and mothers of AI, but he's considered one of the top leaders in recent times. So Jeffrey Hinton, he saw this bad impact of AI, and he left his job at Google, a very high-paying job at Google, a couple of years back, to build awareness among society, in the society, among people, among policymakers, among journalists, among scientists, technologists, right, about the bad impact of AI through, yeah. So, um, so, so then how to tame this AI, bad behavior of AI? So you can actually do a lot of government regulations and then use technology to prevent this kind of misinformation, or how AI engine interprets the misinformation, right? And so at the end, actually, it is the human oversight of what AI does. That's critical, right? So I'll just tell you one little story from my own experience, how AI has evolved, right? From, say, we used to have good information and then misinformation came in and we got a lot of bad information. And then how now slowly the AI engines are trying to correct it. So as around, I think, 2020, 2021, I saw a little message in one of my college WhatsApp groups saying that Indira Gandhi's husband, Firoz Gandhi, was named Firoz Khan, and he was born Firoz Khan. He was Muslim, and then whole family. There was a picture of Indira Gandhi with the in-laws. They are all Muslims. Then I thought, what is this? I have learned all my life as a student that Firoz Gandhi was Parsi, right? And then I asked my friend, what is this misinformation you are spreading all over the WhatsApp? Everybody is doing that. He said, no, you do a Google lookup. That was 2021, I think. I said, okay, oh, really? So Google lookups tells that Indira Gandhi's husband, Firoz Gandhi, is Muslim, not Parsi. I did a Google lookup, and he was right. You do Google that time in 2020, 2021, you do a Google lookup on, um, okay, about Indira Gandhi's husband, it would give hundreds of articles saying how Indira Gandhi's husband, Firoz Gandhi, was Firoz Khan, and the whole family was Muslim. I said, no, this is wrong. I just don't believe Google. The Google search engine is messed up because it's starting to use AI, and AI is not not responsible yet. So I asked him, okay, go look up credible sources, like go look up the archives of Times of India, archives of India Today, look up biographies, look up history books by eminent professionals. He was not convinced. Then actually, I just took him to all those websites and showed him, look, this person was Parsi. So then what caused this Google engine to really spread misinformation? It is the vested interests. They spread this rumor and they replicated. They had the mass media tool in their disposal to be able to spread rumors. And remember the MIT study. Light travels 6 times faster than truth. So that is what caused, that's what confused the Google search engines AI was just starting to be implemented in Google search engines. That's why Google search engines gave all this wrong information. Then, after looking at these authentic publications, my friend somehow grudgingly accepted, yeah, maybe he was Parsi, right? So, if you go do a Google lookup today, Google has corrected that. You do a Google lookup today, just go and try. So Google will come back saying that there were rumors that Firoz Gandhi was Firoz Khan and Muslim, not Parsi, but that rumor was wrong, and then it gives the whole family history. So there was 2021. So before 2021, you got correct information. 2021, when AI started giving wrong information because of this vested interest, individual interest, groups interest. So the AI engines were kind of misguided for a few years. And then these regulations came in, that what Jeffrey Hinton is now advocating everywhere, awareness, right? Technology, how to tame AI. So Google, it modified its search engines. That, okay, not only whatever data, not only the volume of data that should determine the output, but the authenticity of the data. So Google actually corrected a lot of this information by going to Wikipedia, which is a peer-reviewed site, and then the authentic site. So that is actually, they gave higher score to the authenticity of a source of news or information. And that got superimposed on these volumes of data. So the AI engines could say that, okay, this is misinformation, rumor. I give priority to the authentic sources. That is how Google has corrected this. Today, please go look up. Firoz Gandhi is Parsi. So what I want to tell you is that, yes, any new technology had disadvantages. So now actually the AI technology is going through a lot of changes. So where there's kind of turmoil everywhere. People don't understand what it is doing. There's chaos, there's confusion. But then by applying the right kind of technology, by giving the humans the control and having regulations, and also self-regulation by all these big multinationals, how they create AI engines, things can change, like the Google search engine changed in 4 or 5 years, right? So all I want to say is that, yes, there is turmoil, there is chaos, but for all my media friends, there is hope. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a lovely speech with different angles and small stories, which would allow the students to understand in a much easier way. To move on with the program, we now release the commemorative monograph and anthology of abstract. I would request the guests, the esteemed guests on the dais, to do the needful. A loud round of applause from the audience, please. It's the release of the commemorative monograph and anthology of abstracts. Along with this, there is one, Journalism in India, which is also getting released and will be available online. That is getting released online. The Book of Abstracts, now getting released. The Book of Abstracts, which all of you have in your kit. Thank you, guests. Please take your seats. I would now request Professor K.D. Raju, Pro Vice Chancellor, KIT, deemed to be University Bhubaneswar, to move on with the inaugural address.
Thank you, madam. Distinguished guests and dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, teachers, and dear participants of this conference. We at KIT University, we can see that there are 40,000 students presently and around 30 world-class institutions. And media studies is one of the first established Institute of Media Studies in 1994. So we can see that this particular conference, National Media Conclave Media 5, so organizing here in the KIT campus for the next 3 days, I am very sure that I was told that around 300 participants from all over the country is participating in this Media Conclave 5. So once upon a time, I was remembering that my friends, those who study in the Institute of Mass Communication in New Delhi JNU campus, and they completed their course and they got very fabulous jobs in the media houses in Delhi and around the country. But the media studies at that point of time and after 25 years is completely transformed, I would say that. So just before that, the Professor Nanda was talking about the technology interventions and what has happened to the media studies and the media itself. So this is the time of technology. So the technology transforms each and every sections of education. So I'm a trained lawyer, and even lawyers are now facing technological interventions, and I would say that disruptions. If you don't know the technology, so you will be out of business. And these technical interventions and technological interventions are the need of the time, and the students of mass media and communication also has to learn these new technological interventions. So the theme itself is says that the convergence of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, and the various aspect of technological intervention to the mass media is for the time with the challenges which they're facing in the present time. So I can see if looking into, because I'm a lawyer, looking into some points on law. So I'm very sure that the next 2 days it will be discussed in various panels. But if you look into the present media and law, every day I would say that it's don't go to the media. Every day, everybody sitting here are content creators. When I say that everybody is content creators through your social media, and media includes the new technological, I would say that everybody, whether it is a students or faculty or it is guests, everybody uses social media, and every day you create contents. But the contents should be subject to the law. So morning, I think the vice chancellor was talking about the data protection law. It is notified 2 days back. I don't know how many media students know about data protection law, and you must read. Otherwise, you are going to be in trouble when you are writing in Facebook or it is in Insta or any social media, and also the photographs. Those you may be taking a selfie and putting the photograph of your friends along with you, but you may end up in trouble. So it is not only you end up in trouble. So Meta always washes their hands, and the platforms always wash their hands. So because you are signed an agreement with all the platforms, and which dividing the legal responsibility of these platforms. So you are going to be legally responsible for the content you generate. When it quickly comes to the, I was told because of the time, and so I can see that the entire media now you take. So just before coming here, I was just going through the this in my so I have formulated a media. These are the medias which I am going to see, and the media button I put in my mobile. All the media. It is not only one media that important news items subject wise. So talked about personalization. And personalization we never heard about 20 years back. We go to the individual newspapers and scan through the newspapers and get the news. But the machines now scan the news for you and bring to your machine. And that is, so I was going through the local news, international news, and then there is a specific news is, picks for you. So specifically, the machine determines what is your habits, what kind of newses you are every day you are reading, and based on your habits, the machine itself is suggesting news for you. I would say that this biased pick and choose news is going to be the it is, I would say, that negatively the contribution of technology. So you are always going to be biased. But I want to say the students of mass media never to be biased because of the disruption of technology. And let me see that again comes back to our constitution, is the freedom of press and freedom of speech and expression the constitution allows. But I think yesterday only it is released, the media freedom index. Anybody have any idea where is India? India is in 151 out of 193 countries. So you are on the backside of media freedom. So this is also to be viewed very seriously on the part of it. For the next 2 days, I think the technological interventions will be discussed and various interplay between human beings and the advanced technologies will be discussed in this particular conclave. And I thank the organizers for inviting me for the last moment because the Vice Chancellor was supposed to attend this conference and because of his ill health, he is not able to. So I thank on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and the founder of KIT University, Dr. Achyuta Samanta, and I welcome all the participants, distinguished guests to the KIT University, and I wish all the best for the discussions for these next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for taking out your time from your tight schedule. Now we shall talk a little about one professor whom I have been interacting for the last 9 years in this conclave. But I'm sure those who are sitting in the audience, especially the students and the aspirants, you should be also knowing who he is. Professor Dr. V.L. Dharurkar. The 9th National Media Conclave 2025 in Bhubaneswar, Odisha is awarding the Lifetime Achievement Award to Professor Dr. Vijay Kumar Lakshmikant Rao Dharurkar. Sir, could you please? An exemplary figure in journalism and mass communication, education in a recognition of his illustrious career of the decades. In academia and administration, the profound contributions of Professor Dharurkar stand as a testament to excellence in education, research, and leadership. At the age of 71, he continues to inspire us and now working as the Director, Research and Development at the Indian Institute of Knowledge, Pune in Maharashtra. Professor Dharurkar's lifetime achievements in education, research, and publication have left an indelible mark on the field of mass communication and journalism. Today, we honor him, a visionary academic, a transformative leader, and a pioneer in media and communication studies. We pray to Lord Jagannath to bless him with good health, happiness, and a long life to bless us and show us the path forward. Thank you, Professor Dharukar, for being here and accepting the award. Once we have done the felicitation of Professor Dharurkar, And this brief introduction is not enough for the students sitting here to know him incomplete. So he is a sea of knowledge, and you need some time to interact with him. Now, we move on with the release of the book, Mass Communication in India, The Changing Scenario, authored by Professor Upendra Padi. I request the guests, the dignitaries, to please be with Professor Padi and move on with the release of the book. Loud round of applause, please. Thank you so much, sir. All the sirs, in fact, for helping us to release the book. Now, I would request Dr. K.V. Nagraj, Professor of Mass Communication and former Pro Vice Chancellor, Assam Central University, to present the inaugural address.
Dear friends, like the future of media, my speech is also constricted. I was the first person to talk about, you know, invasion of privacy by media in India some 35, 40 years ago, because nobody was bothered about it. We were told specifically in newspapers that we should not mention the names of corporate houses in our news reports. Unfortunately, today, you know, the names are in plenty. Every news item has their names. That means things have changed. Of course, human life itself is dynamic, things should change. But the whole problem is what for? When I started my career in journalism way back in 1970s, it was journalism. Somebody asked me, what is your ism? Just now somebody talked about ideology. I always believe that ideas, idealism and ideology should dominate mass communication. But today, there are no new ideas. I am not seeing new ideas because they say everything is done by AI. I don't want to talk about because sometimes I feel there is some kind of technology terrorism. Not that I am against technology, but when you overdo it, I think there is going to be an issue. I had a friend, a veteran a journalist, Patil Puttappa from Hubli. He wrote a book. In that, he wrote, man has become a slave of whatever he has created. He has created government, he has become a slave of government. See, today, you just can't imagine what is happening. The word used here is state surveillance. George Orwell is 100% correct. And the second thing is we created money and we are chasing money. See, I can go on giving examples, but unfortunately, we have become, I don't know what word I should use, because some 20 years ago, a lady researcher in the US called television a nonsense medium. And now I believe by exposing ourselves to nonsense media, whether we have become nonsensical people, it appears. It appears in the sense, I think all of you should, if you have not seen the old movie Golem, not the new one, the earlier one, you will understand. See, you create a monster, and that monster is going to dominate you. Ultimately, it will destroy you. So, my request to the people in the technology field is create something that can help people to live comfortably. See, I know that we are in a leisure pleasure world because of the machines. That's what Gandhiji had opposed. Too much of leisure, too much of pleasure, certainly it will make us nonsensical people. So create something which is good for the whole world. Unfortunately, you know, everything has got both positive and negative aspects. And the second one is, I am worried about the future of media. I come from a family which, we got associated with journalism in 1914, 1-4. So it is more than 100 years. After seeing my elder generation and my generation and the present generation, I am worried about the future of media because now the individual is the focus and individual communication is the focus. It is not mass communication. If Indians are going to be fully occupied with individuation, what will happen to journalism or mass communication? Is it going to die? I am worried about the death of media. If media are not going to be there, what will happen to media education in the present form? How are we going to adjust to the new developments? The reason is, if the machine thinks and we depend upon the machines to think on our behalf, the factories of lies will dominate as it has already happened. So, friends, I know how Professor Padi is taking pains to conduct this national conclave every year. I am a witness to his efforts, and I have been coming here regularly and exchanging my ideas. I call my ideas wild ideas. Wild ideas for the simple reason they are different. They have to be different. So, without taking much of your time, because tomorrow morning I have a session where I believe I can run into the time of others and go on talking what is sense and what is nonsense. Thank you very much. I will be with you again. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Professor Nagraj. I would now request Professor V.L. Dharurkar, Emeritus Professor, to speak a few words so that our students, our newcomers in this conclave gets enriched.
Dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, I am very much thankful to National Media Conclave for honoring me. Few short, sharp snapshots I am going to present. There is no doubt that media is changing. The world is changing. And also, many dimensions are emerging. It is said, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Mahakshetre, everywhere there are, crusades are going on. And in this crusade of the changing world, we have to be based on truth. Truth is the essence of media. In Rigveda, it has been stated, Samaj Swasthena Samvad. Communication for the good health of society. Though the world has ranked 151, he was telling. But look into the Indian dimension. As much as the freedom is enjoyed by the Indian mass media, no media in the world enjoys such freedom. So Gopal Krishna Gokhale once said to Mahatma Gandhi, freedom of expression is the essence of Swaraj. If it destroys freedom of expression, every existence of Swaraj will come down. It is very interesting that India has received freedom out of struggle, out of conflict, anti-colonialism, anti-imperialism, and anti-apartheidism was a great character of Indian Revolution. If we say 1947 is an Indian Revolution, in this Indian Revolution, tremendous amount of role media has played. And media is going to play a tremendous amount of role in the molding of modern India, in the molding of the free India, molding of the advanced India. Now, once Maharshi Vyas was asked by the Brahmins of Banaras, you have written such a big Mahabharata out of lakhs of verses. Tell us a Mahabharata in one verse, in one line. Then Maharshi Vyas said, Na manushyam kimapi asti yadyapi. Though AI has come, though advanced technologies have come, what Mahabharata says is that is very important. Nothing is so important. Nothing is so great than that of human being. Protect the humanness. That is very important. There was globalization, there was liberalization, there was privatization, but there was no humanization. Human face to the global revolution has been provided by India. So, if you were to provide human face to the new technologies, say artificial intelligence, I always suggest the word pradnya, kritrima pradnya. In Buddhism, Lord Buddha said, pradnya, shila, and karuna are the trio. Mahavira said, Samyaka Darshan, Samyaka Charit, and Samyakata, that is the essence of it. When I was delivered a lecture in Bonn University and Berlin University, I had placed a theory. Enlightenment is the great ethos of Indian identity. When the great men were enlightened, when the great men inspired, they transformed their movements into mass movement. And that became an Indian revolution. In the AI age also, let us hope that Indian communication theories will revolutionize the whole world. Marshall McLuhan said, medium is the message. One Frederick William of the California University wrote a book, Technologies of Freedom. And he said, these are the technologies, they are the means and they are not the end. They are the means to serve the people. We have to bear in mind that technologies are not everything, they are means to serve the people at large. So media can be an engine of change. Media can be truly a driver of development. Media can be not a facilitator, but media can be an ethos, can be a philosophical tenet, can provide a new light to the new world. The world requires new Veda. The world requires new Gita. The world requires new Upanishads, and that Indian media should provide. Mazhar Ahmadi, Microsoft Asia chief, once in a press conference few months back said, India is going to rule the AI world. By 2030, India is going to emerge as the AI capital of the world. Because when there was a first AI summit in the Bletchley Hall, just 22 kilometers away from UK, Rishi Sunak was then Prime Minister. He in a speech pointed that that country is going to rule the world who has advancement in physics, chemistry, technology, and mathematics, and English language. Who is that? That country is only India. India possesses good mathematics. Srinivasan Ramanujan was a great lightning house. India possesses great philosophy. India possesses great communication power. And hence, India is going to rule the AI world in the new millennium. So, a new millennium requires a new philosophy, new understanding. Once Karl Marx was asked about best literature, best journalism, best communication, he said, which peace beyond a century? Which peace beyond a century? That is the true news, that is the true journalism, that is the true literature, that is the new technology. Let us peep beyond a century. If you peep beyond a century, then we can understand the ethos of communication. So ethos of communication lies in sacrifice, in surrender. Agneya swaha, agneya idam namama. Suryaya swaha, suryaya idam nama. Prajapataya swaha, prajapataya idam nama. That is not mine, that is of nature. That is of ecology, that is of ecosystem. So B.R. Ambedkar was talking on Indian Bombay University bill in Bombay legislation. I quote Dhananjay Keer, page 90. He says, education will not become a mass education. You have to take education to the poorest of the poor. The universities are in ivory towers and people are in somewhere in Kalahandi and Ganjam. So colleges in the Mofussil area, in the backward area, should join the hands with the universities. The ivory towers have to come to society, come to the people. Then only there will be a revolution. Such a tremendous amount of Indian vision was there when the philosophy sent Swami Vivekananda in World Parliament of Religion. India is the base of all philosophies. Gita is base of all communication. And he said, India is going to rule the new millennium, not only on the basis of religion, but on the basis of new technological advancement. So technologies are the best, they are the essence, but they are human beings. So let us bring a change by understanding the fusion of technology, vision of culture. Medium is the message, technology is not the message. So what is the message? Culture is the message. Culture is the communication. That is the future mantra of change. Then only you can utilize AI for total development, inclusive development, human development. India, not only in the fifth position, will go on second and first position in the economy and also in the world of philosophy when India will become emerge in 2047. Thank you very much. With these words, I can say, Nayanam Chidanti Shastrani, Nayanam Dehati Pavakam. Indianization of media has already started, and that Indianization is the only way to fight with colonial powers. That is the only way out. Hence, we can say that there is a change, and the change is coming up. That is knocking the doors of the new millennium, and we have to understand that we are on the pathway. Said Saint Dnyaneshwar, very in the righteous language, ye radhai chete, radhai ghatale, radhai radhai ek jahale. When you implant the messages from one heart to other heart, then only there can be a change. आओ हम सब मिलकर हाथ बढ़ाए इस धरती पर स्वर्ग बनाए हम. जय हिंद.
Thank you so much, sir, for your vibrant speech. This is just a glimpse of Professor Dharurkar. He had much more to say, but since we are amidst a time band, so we have to keep the program within that. So we come up with 3 book release. We had 1 book release in the earlier 10-15 minutes before. Now we're going to release the book Historical Trajectories of Advertisement and Political Economy of Communication in India. This has been by Vikram Kesari Jaina and Preeti Siranjan. Heartiest congratulations on the release of this book. Loud round of applause for the release. The second book, which is in the pipeline to release, is a Marathi book which has been written and edited by Professor V.L. Dharurkar. Professor Dharurkar, whom you have all met right now and listened to his vibrant speech. This is his book. Thank you so much, guests, for releasing the book. And congratulations, Dharurkar sir, once again. The last one, as said, Journalism in India, which has been authored by Professor Upendra Padi, Chairman, National Media Conclave, is being released. And this is an online book. This book is available in Amazon and you can look for it. Well, we have come towards the end of the program, the inaugural session, and we shall be felicitating the guests sitting on the dais. Professor Upendra Padi, Chairman, National Media Conclave, will be felicitating the guests, starting from Professor Nagraj, felicitated by Upendra Padi, sir. Professor Nagraj, I suppose, needs no introduction. In fact, those sitting on the dais, none of them require any introduction, as they are the big and bigs of media fraternity. Professor Padi, felicitating Professor B.K. Ravi, Professor Padi, felicitating Dharurkar, sir. Upendra Padi, sir. Now we'll be felicitating Mr. Dr. Nanda. Dr. Nanda, Director AI and HPC Research Center, IIT Bhubaneswar. Thank you, sir. Now Professor Padi will be felicitating Manoranjan Panda, convener and organizing secretary of the conclave, not only for this one, for the last 9 conclaves. Thank you, sir. I would now request Professor V.K. Ravi to felicitate our very own and very dear chairman of NMC, Professor Upendra Kumar Padi. Thank you, Ravi sir. Thank you so much. We complete the felicitation of guests, and now we wrap up the session with the vote of thanks, which will be given by Manoranjan Panda, the convener and organizing secretary of the conclave.
Jai Jagannath. Good morning, all of you, and now good afternoon. Thank you so much. Starting from uh, Professor Nagraj sir, who has been the mentor and advisor since the inception of this conclave, and inaugurating this session today, the inaugural ceremony of 9th edition. Thank you, sir, for attending and inspiring us for the last 9 years, and we are still expecting from you till the age of 75. Um,
Also, we also, on the behalf of organizing committee, express our deep gratitude to Dr. Ashwini Kumar Nanda, Director of AI and HPC Center, Indian Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar, for presenting the keynote address so beautifully, analyzing how artificial intelligence is disrupting in a different way. So, and the issues raised by him and Professor Nagaraj sir hopefully will be debated in the subsequent plenary sessions, and that will be clear how the credibility crisis is creating a double trouble for the users. Thank you, sir, for raising those issues. I also express my deep gratitude to Dr. B.L. Dharukar sir. He has been now awarded with the Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of the organizing committee. Thank you, sir, for accepting this award and inspiring us by your presence in every year. Thank you, Professor Raju KD, Professor Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor of KIT DMTB University in absentia. He has been elaborated what are the things to be done in the next near plenary sessions and what are his expectations. Hopefully, these expectations will be met during our sessions. Thank you, sir, in your absence. Uh, Thank you, Professor Upendra Padisar, the man behind this conference. And since 2017 and till 2025, we are organizing this festival in Bhubaneswar. And two cities like Bhubaneswar hosting this kind of festival and invite scholars from across the country is always a Herculean task. And thank you, sir, for organizing this event in a Bhubaneswar city. Thank you, sir. And I also express my deep gratitude to all the academicians, senior sirs, and professors, academicians, professionals from across the country attending this inaugural ceremony. And hopefully, the next 2 days deliberations will and insights from coming out of that sessions will enrich our knowledge and our freedom. Thank you, sir. And I also express deep gratitude to Kids School of Mass Communication, their students, their scholars for rapporteuring this 3 day session, and hopefully will come out with a good publication after the conclave. Thank you, OCAC, Odisha Computer Application Center, under Electronic and Information Technology Department, for the technological partner of this conclave for supporting this event. And thank you, all the research scholars, students, participants from across the country and from different institutions from Odisha and specifically from Bhubaneswar. And hopefully this 3 day stay and the knowledge churning will help you to grow more and to expect more. And there is a saying, so now recently there is a article in vernacular is from Goppo to Chapo. So with this, there is a very great pressure on our scholars and students how they can use technology in their academic activities and others. Thank you so much. Hopefully this 3 day session will help you in this regard. Thank you so much. Thank you. So subsequently we'll follow up with 2-3 sessions, and we immediately will be having a session on Dr. Harikrishna Mohta. We will be discussing his life, work, and contribution to journalism, specifically Odia journalism. So thank you. Please stay with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manoranjan sir. Now we all shall wrap up the program, the inaugural ceremony, with the Indian national anthem.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जात सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जगधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे आहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय 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 जय
Thank you all. The next session will begin in a couple of minutes. So, sir, is there any tea break? Sir, is there any tea break? 5 minutes. There's a 5 minute break. Please come back to the auditorium after 5 minutes. Okay. Sorry for the communication. Please don't just be here. Within 5 minutes, we will begin our next session.
They should keep telling us that.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. So we are beginning our first, not the first, it is the commemorating 125th birth anniversary of Dr. Hari Krishna Mahatab. And the entire session will be a discussion on life, works and contribution of Dr. Mahatab. I would now like to call our own moderator, Dr. Vikram Kesari Jaina, and hand him over the podium to conduct the session. Dr. Jaina, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you, madam. Again, one greeting to all of you. Today is a big day in terms of Odisha and India, because today our great son of the soil, Dr. Hari Krishna Mahatab birthday. That's why Upendra, special thanks to Professor Padi, who dedicated this, especially this panel to Dr. Mahatab's journey. Without wasting much time, I would be delighted to invite chair of the session, Sri Sadhav Sahu, former Chief Secretary of Odisha. Then Professor Prakash Chandra Sadangi, a noted political scientist from University of Hyderabad and the then Vice Chancellor of Ravenshaw University, my teacher. Then Professor Das Beneru, retired professor from Utkal University, and Professor Surya Kumar Mishra, former professor from Utkal University. Please welcome all of you to come to the dais. Let us set the tone for this discussion, particular this session, when we are going to encourage the youngsters of our state and India as well. Who was actual Dr. Hari Krishna Mahatab, and what kind of contribution and legacy he carried through his life? Somebody came from a very little village of Bhadrak district, the then Baleswar district, name called Agarpada. When he came from Agarpada to Ravenshaw, the then Ravenshaw College, was a student. Later he joined the freedom struggle of our country, and luckily in 1897, when Subhash Bose born, 2 years later Dr. Hari Krishna Mahatab born, and luckily 12 members of Indian National Congress, Subhash Chandra Bose one of them, and our great son of soil Dr. Hari Krishna Mahatab one of them. In our present government is continuing with Odia Asmita, and the vernacular language is very much important to say. तो ମୁଁ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କୁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ସ୍ୱାଗତ କରୁଛି ଯେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ରଫେସର ପାଢ଼ୀଙ୍କ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଆୟୋଜିତ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ, ଖାସ କରିକି ଡକ୍ଟର ହରେକୃଷ୍ଣ ମହତାବଙ୍କ ଜୀବନୀ ଉପରେ ଆଧାରିତ ଗୋଟେ ନୋଟେଡ୍ ଫୋରମ୍ ସେ ତିଆରି କରିଛନ୍ତି, ଆଉ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ୟାନେଲିଷ୍ଟ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଡାକିଛନ୍ତି, such a very important panelist this is. 3 back-to-back political scientists, those are cleaning up work closely and honestly in academic arena, and also contributing so lot. And the former Chief Secretary Sadhav Sahu, who was one of the most closely person who can watch very closely the work, life and contribution to the mainstream of Odisha and Dr. Mahatab. So I now hand over the mic to Sadhav Sahu to chair the session. Thank you, sir.
ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ଦୁଇଟା ଉପପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ନା, ଉପମୁଖ୍ୟମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଦୁଇଟା ଲେଖୁଛନ୍ତି, ଜଣେ ମୁଖ୍ୟମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ହେଲେ ଦୁଇଟି ଉପମୁଖ୍ୟମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଦରକାର ହେଉଛନ୍ତି। ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କୁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ସ୍ୱାଗତ। ଆଜି ଆମ ଗଣେ ଯେଉଁମାନେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ବହୁତ ବିଳମ୍ବ ହୋଇଗଲାଣି ଏବଂ ଯେଉଁମାନେ ଚାହା ଖାଉଛନ୍ତି ବୋଧେ ଏପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ବି ଖାଉଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଆସିନାହାନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଅନ୍ୟ ମଧ୍ୟାହ୍ନ ଭୋଜନ ପାଇଁ ବି ଆପଣ ବ୍ୟସ୍ତ ହେଉଥିବେ। ତେଣୁ ମୁଁ ଅନୁରୋଧ କରିବି ସମସ୍ତେ କମ୍ ସମୟ ଭିତରେ 5 ମିନିଟ୍ ତ କହିଲେ ବି 10 ମିନିଟ୍ ହେବ, ତେଣୁ 5 ମିନିଟ୍ କହୁଛି, 10 ମିନିଟ୍ ତାକୁ ଦିଆହେଉଛି। There are some people who may be unable to understand Odia. So I am because the shortage of time, we have to finish I think in 40-45 minutes. So I am asking each of our members here to devote 5 minutes for that and give the substance of talk. If in case they overlap, they go over, they should limit it in any case to 10 minutes so that within 50 minutes we can finish. So I would request our master of the ceremony to go on asking. ପ୍ରଥମେ ଡାକିବେ ଆର ଲୋକକୁ ଡାକିବେ ନାଇଁ ଆମ ଭିତର ଲୋକକୁ ଡାକନ୍ତୁ।
First, I would like to invite Professor Prakash Chandra Sadangi, former Vice Chancellor of Ravensa University, can speak.
He is giving the
Esteemed chairperson of this afternoon, Sri Sahadev Sao, my other friends on the dais, and distinguished delegates to this very well acclaimed conclave. Let me first of all pay my Shraddhanjali to this great leader of Odisha, fondly remembered as Utkal Kesari, Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab ji. He has an enduring legacy in modern Odisha, and that is well known. At the same time, he had a lasting contribution on the socio-economic landscape of the entire country, both as a freedom fighter and a social reformer. He is well known. Let me, to start with, quote a young scholar who has written on Hare Krishna Mahatab, assessing his contribution to the socio-political life. Let me quote, his life serves as a philosophical testament to the principles of social justice, collective identity, and the ethical responsibilities of leadership. He goes on to say, he helped to cultivate a collective consciousness that transcends individual aspirations in favor of greater good. These two sentences, in a way, summarize Dr. Mahatab's contribution to our society, to our community. But I'm not going to assess all of his contributions. I'll just pick up a small aspect of this assessment, and that is Dr. Mahatab's style of leadership. Let me propose before you that Dr. Mahatab embodied a style of transformational leadership. This, in a way, defies the symbol of Utkal Kesari. Kesari implies a lion. He was not fierce like a lion, but like a good leader, tried to transform the society. It has three components. He could inspire his followers and tell them to transcend one's self-interest for the betterment of the society. A transformative leader also pays attention to the critical needs and concerns of the community. That is, he inspires, he motivates for the community to be creative. And thirdly, he motivates the followers towards achievement of goals by giving them a new perspective. These three aspects of transformational leadership: one, idealized influence; second, the motivational influence; and third is the intellectual influence, giving a new perspective. I'll quickly touch on each one of these, not elaborately because of the time constraint. I'll just give a few examples from his life to suggest that he was a transformational leader. When you look at his idealized influence on the people, and Mahatab worked with people at the grassroots level, also people at the highest level of leadership. He always worked like a skipper of his team, and he was a role model not only for his team, but the rest of sporting community. By sporting community, here I mean people who were managing the freedom system of the country. He provided a vision and a sense of mission. He used to invite amongst his followers, gain respect and trust. Whether he was negotiating with fifth mission or he was trying to negotiate with the peace, he exhibited this side. He was liked by not only Mahatma Gandhi, but also by Subhash Bose. Both scientifically opposite leaders. It is Subhash Bose who invited him as part of the Congress working committee. He was a co-prisoner with Jawaharlal Nehru, okay, Abdul Kalam, and several others. He interacted with them not only in the practical field, but also in the philosophical musings, beliefs. What I'm trying to suggest here is that he has the capacity to mingle with different types of leaders as well as grassroots workers. In fact, the last two British viceroys, Lord Wavell and Lord Mountbatten, they were full of regard for him, so much so that Wavell wanted to include him in the interim government, which he had to politely decline. If I quote Professor M.N. Das, who has written extensively on Dr. Mahatab, to quote, he says, once Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel paid his compliments to Mahatab by saying, not that Mahatab loved Odisha less, but he loved India more. He was a colossus, not only in our province, but also the entire nationalist freedom struggle. Let me share with you something that is being of late researched. His relationship with Jawaharlal Nehru. You might have known that after Jawaharlal Nehru became Prime Minister, actually, even before independence, uh, he was at the helm. He used to write letters to the chief ministers. Many chief ministers did not reply, they simply accepted what Nehru said. But it is Mahatab who always replied back, presenting his own point of view as a leader of a region, and that is Odisha. These letters are now available, incidentally, in Nehru Memorial Museum Library. Somebody who has done a bit of research on this, I read his conclusions on this correspondence and why Mahatab was writing back, explaining his position in Odisha as a leader. This author writes, Mahatab personified a kind of federal nationalism from Odisha vis-a-vis New Delhi. He also illustrates a Congress system. Students of political science would know what a Congress system is, that some type of internal opposition within the Congress party. This was well before he formed Jan Congress. He presented the views of a regional leader, the views of Odisha, that the Nehru's vision of Indian nationalism is not the same thing as we view in Odisha as kind of Odishan nationalism. At that time, it was called Odishan nationalism or Odia nationalism, I would say. And one of his conclusions, also, let me quote, Jawaharlal Nehru's liberal humanism, secularism, and socialism appear dimmed in Hare Krishna Mahatab's responses. If Nehru oversaw the political relationship between nation and citizenry, then it was premiers like Mahatab who formed the pivotal intervening state layer. Incidentally, there's a lot of issues with regard to law and order in the states. Nehru felt that it is RSS, the right-wing people, who are creating problem. But Mahatab presented his view and he suggested it's the left-oriented people, the socialists and communists, they are the ones who are presenting this. Nehru was, as you know, was a kind of had a bent of socialism. So therefore, this type of tussle, if you so like, was going on when Mahatab was representing the regional identity. Mind you, till this time, the idea of or the notion of identity did not emerge. But Nehru at that time, soon after independence, he was not in favor of linguistic, provinces. So therefore, he wanted something like a Western European nation state. He could foresee the flaws in Nehruvian style of nationalism. This was perhaps in anticipation of, I would suggest, Odia Asmita that we are debating so much today. The second point, inspirational motivation. Mahatab was not simply dominating as a leader, but among the grassroots workers, he was also a worker like other workers. He always provided a dignified meaning to people's fight against the British and thereby generated new challenges and new enthusiasm. Mahatab asserted, let me quote from Mahatab himself, that true progress is measured by our ability to empower the oppressed. This resonates profoundly in today's discourse on social justice, highlighting the ethical responsibility of individuals and institutions to actively confront and dismantle the structures of oppression. Many of you may know that Mahatab himself took many members of the depressed classes, Dalits, to his family temple in Agarpada and made them to go and touch the gods and goddesses. He did it. At that time, perhaps he was a radical leader, but also he was a sensitive leader. I'll give you two more examples quickly to say that how he was both radical and sensitive. One is, of course, the Salt Satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi, as you may know, had this famous Dandi March in 1930. But well before that, before 1925, Mahatma had impressed upon Mahatma Gandhiji that he has to do something about the salt law, because Odisha was affected by salt law, particularly people living in coastal areas. And he made it a point to see that a village in coastal Balesur called Inchuri made the focal point of Salt Satyagraha. He made it a point to see that the other leaders from Cuttack and other areas, Puri areas, are taken there, and they are the ones who made a very successful attempt to lead the Satyagrahis, and even British government had to concede that Odisha's Salt Satyagraha was much better than what we found in other states. And Mahatma himself writes that Odisha's Salt Satyagraha in Inchuri stood second only to Dandi in terms of popular mobilization and around the salt issue. He writes this in his own autobiography. And though he belonged to a Jamindar family, he also organized the farmers, organized meetings with, just I'll make one last point, organized meetings, organized state level conferences of farmers and made them aware of their own rights. I'll make one last point. Of course, I know my colleagues are much better qualified to do that. But then I must mention the third aspect of transformational leadership, that is the intellectual stimulation. Mahatma's ability to stimulate the ability of the intellectual ability of the grassroots workers, and his simple mode of communication to generate a spark in the way of thinking of all of us. This is what is crucial for a student of media to understand today, that for him, political communication of various types was important, whether it is through his newspaper Prajatantra or his other papers, including a weekly called Rachana, where he tried to imitate Mahatma Gandhi's Harijan. But through his books on history, through his writings, through his philosophical explanations, he always tried to communicate with the people and suggest that there is an intellectual dimension to the freedom movement. Dr. Mahatab's overall intellectual approach was to understand the past to shape the future. When we were children, the only well-known history book on Odisha was that of Dr. Mahatab. He stressed directly and indirectly the importance of recognizing the historical context in forming our collective identities. His philosophical reflections were used as a social tool to underscore the critical role of community empowerment. He asserted, let me quote Mahatab again, that knowledge must be a means of liberation, not just a pathway to personal success. So therefore, when we look at his dynamic leadership, we can say with some confidence that he adeptly navigated the complex relationship between nationalism and regionalism, advocated a synthesis that celebrated the diversity while fostering unity. He always wanted a cohesive identity for India, but at the same time, he expected a recognition of our regional identity, cultural plurality, and the principle of unity and diversity. So therefore, Dr. Mahtab, as a transformational leader, had an idealized influence, had a motivational leadership, and also had an intellectual influence on the masses. And therefore, to conclude, I would say again that the characterization of Dr. Mahtab as Utkal Kesari, that he was a lion, he was not as fierce as a lion. He was perhaps a lion who can carry his team together. Perhaps he could prod people to follow certain line of action, certain line of freedom movement, certain line of social development. This he was able to do. And therefore, he was more than a lion. Perhaps he was a leader of the masses. With these words, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you.
The organs, not only people have invited you. Thank you for your nice speech. I would now call upon Professor Suryanarayan Mishra to speak a few words about political activities of Dr. Mahtab.
Thank you, sir. I'm asked to talk about Dr. Mahtab's political career, and such a vast political career to be spoken to this audience in a concise manner. It's a very difficult task. When I was asked by Dr. Upendra Padhi to come over here, and that too, I got the message that this session is devoted to discuss or look into the life, works, and the contributions of Dr. Mahtab. It's very difficult to evaluate a person of his level. I was just thinking, had Odisha not got a Dr. Mahtab, had he not been born in Agarpada, had he not chosen a political career, what would have happened to this part of the country? Born in 19th century, today in 1899, looking at partition of Bengal, Swadeshi movement, beginning of the First World War, Khilafat movement, Rowlatt Act was the turning point in his life. When as a student in 1918, he joined Utkal Samilani because he could choose that service is a better form of political activity. And the second was when Mahatma Gandhi visited Odisha in March 1921, he accompanied him to most part of his visited places and got influenced by the personality, dedication, discipline, and the ideological orientation of the person. Then he was dragged towards Congress, becomes a member of the district Congress committee, looks into the local body. Then through his erudition, participation, and event management, political event management, he could draw the attention of many of the stalwarts those days. Here is a personality who was liked by Mahatma Gandhi, Patel, Nehru, Subhash Bose, and all of them belong to different categories of people. I remember in 1985, when Bimal Kishore Mishra was the Vice Chancellor of Utkal University and I was the Director of Students' Welfare. Dr. Pratap Chandra Chandar was supposed to deliver the Nilakanta Memorial Lecture. And the venue was Ravenshaw College those days, because at different places it was organized. My Vice Chancellor asked me that protocol demands that you should go and receive Dr. Chandar from his residence and also escort to his place. So I had to go to Calcutta. He was staying very close to Utkal Bhavan, and the place is Ganesh Chandra Avenue. And his father, I could know then that his father was Nirmal Chandra Chandar, such a palatial building, old one. I got into that building, introduced myself, found a calm, composed Pratap Chandra Chandar because I had seen him earlier when Dr. Vidyadhar Mishra was the Vice Chancellor. He came to open the central canteen which is existing now. I was coordinating the NSS activities in the campus in 1978 when Morai Desai was the Prime Minister of the country. So I found the same man, but I couldn't introduce myself that I have seen you at that particular point of time. But I found the aura of the family with Mrs. Chandar. So I was with them till evening, till I board the train. And during those phases of my return journey and staying with him for a couple of hours, I provoked him to talk about the Odia personalities. He said that my father was a close associate and friend of Dr. Nilakanta Das. And whenever Dr. Nilakanta Das was at, because both of them were members of the Central Legislative Council. So he used to stay with us. And Dr. Mahatab, whenever he comes to Calcutta, he visits our place. I'm more influenced by Dr. Mahatab because of his ready wit and capacity of problem solving. Whenever a political problem is there, you'll find immediate and instant solution from Dr. Mahatab. And by that time, I had known Dr. Mahatab for more than a decade when I was a student representative. Madam Kuntala Acharya of Puri, she is living now. She escorted me to Ekamra Nivas. I was contesting for the post of president. I got elected. Then I could seek his blessings that this is the silver jubilee year of Puri College. Sir, I need your blessings. You may come and grace the occasion. So he told me that you are sure of your winning. That's why you are inviting me. Sure, sir. I am sure of my winning and I expect you to come. So when I visited him to invite, he said that I have some problem in my knees. I cannot go. But I suggest that the present Speaker of Odisha Legislative Assembly, Mr. Mishra, should go. I will tell him, and I have already talked to him, that he will deputize. And Vidhu Bhushan came to me yesterday. He told that he is also coming. So Vidhu Bhushan, he never calls Vidhu Babu. He calls Vidhu Bhushan. Sriram Chandra Das. So Sriram Chandra. So full, he will talk. Vijayananda. He will never say Biju. Vijayananda. So he is such a personality. And I have worked with him in Eastern Times when I was a lecturer in Ravenshaw College from 1973 to 1976. I have worked in that organization as a ghost writer, and people will be happy to know that while living Bihari Bagh, he used to drop me at College Square. That red BMW stops for a minute. I get down around 9:30, so to go to my place because I was staying in a new hostel as an assistant superintendent of the hostel. So my personal association with him, I was more influenced by his personality. And while coming from Bihari Bagh to Kotak, College Square, the stories he will be narrating, I was happy to know that I could have recorded those things. I could know about the personality more. Because you see, once I asked him, sir, you wrote that book, we are not getting that book. Kotak Student Store is not supplying or not having a copy of that, beginning of the end. Now, why are you so much interested? You can come and take a copy from me. So I got a copy from him, beginning of the end. It was published by Book Print or Book House, College Square, Calcutta. Kotak Student Store published it later. So in that particular book, I remember sometime in November 1949, a foreword was written by Vallabhbhai Patel. So imagine, we are celebrating 150 years of Vallabhbhai Patel's birthday, and also we are celebrating today 126th birthday of Utkal Kesari, and the title was given to him by no less than a man like Vallabhbhai Patel. In that foreword, if I remember the words, because the book is misplaced somewhere, I was trying to get it, I couldn't get it. But Vallabhbhai Patel has mentioned the manner, he mentioned the personality of Dr. Hare Krishna Mahtab, that no other person can narrate in the manner he has narrated. That he said that on 13th of September 1947, Indian forces entered into Hyderabad. That was the culmination point of the integration and nationalization and decentralized democratization of Hyderabad. But the process started 10 years earlier by no less than a man like Hare Krishna Mahtab. So he has shown me the way how to address the issues of princely states. So I'm more influenced by the personality, activities, and also the way he conducted the integration process. So that shows that this person is not only a practical statesman, he has written practical statesman, he was a man of the masses, and at the same time also he could visualize that political issues can be handled in the manner he had handled. The second thing is that he wrote to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru when he was Industry and Commerce Minister that the funds or the grants which are made, ଆମେ ଯାହାକୁ ହାତପାଣ୍ଠି ବୋଲି କହୁ, the princes were receiving in lieu of the surrender of their territory, that should be stopped. Nehru wrote back in December 1951, wrote back that this is a commitment, we cannot stop it. And Dr. Mahtab was narrating this issue with me after I got the book and read it. Sir, ହାତପାଣ୍ଠି ତ ଉଚ୍ଛେଦ ହବା, the ହାତପାଣ୍ଠି, the funds granted by the government are not withdrawn. Till there was a problem, and Mrs. Gandhi in 1970, early 70, did the work, but judiciary intervened in between, and ultimately there was an amendment of the constitution. Article 366, clause number 22 was read into. It was written at the definition of the princes and rulers. Now you will see ultimately it will go. So I remember one night when we were traveling together from Bihari Bagh to College Square, he was telling me this thing because I have read that book. It's a small one, but all the integrations, princely states were. So Dr. Mahtab, as architect of modern Odisha, nobody denies this. Had he not been there, I have told you initially, had he not been there, many things Odisha would have missed. The way we are missing or having the water problem, Mahanadi water problem, had there been no Hirakud Dam, what would have happened to this state? Had there been no industrialization, as the industry minister, he took steps to bring employment, bring industrialization, so to increase the buying capacity of the Odias. So when we look into the person on his 126th birth anniversary, and he had a 70 years of active political life from 1918 to 1987. Last 10 years, his business was Society Connect. He was a mass leader. He didn't believe in Darbari, but his Darbar was full of people from below to up. So when you look into the personality, that his society connect was much better than anybody, and he could create also a line of successors. Whereas the present day politicians, they are not interested. I remember that when we proposed from Utkal University, there should be a post of Pro Vice Chancellor, and Dr. Harikrishna Mahatab was there, and Dr. M.N. Das was my Vice Chancellor. I was also Director of Students Welfare at that time. We went to a Kamra Nivas. He said, Mohammed, are you going to create an enemy within? This is the language. Are you going to Uchab Samantarai was sitting? I didn't know him. Are you going? Because Pro Vice Chancellor will be a leg puller for the Vice Chancellor. Mohammed Babu told, sir, the appointment can be to co-terminus. That Vice Chancellor and Pro Vice Chancellor will be appointed, and the post will be co-terminus. One will take him, his associate with him. That was the kind of discussion I remember in 1985. Sir, Amitabh Bachchan has become the MP from Allahabad, and is trying to convert Allahabad University to Central University. You will see it will not be done. He never repeated that sentence. You'll see Allahabad University will not become Central University. I do not know how he could visualize, because the question is that he was not an astrologer, but astrology was under his control. Futurology, political futurology. He was deprived of many positions in life. He was the deputy leader in the third Lok Sabha. When Pandit Nehru died, nobody remembered him. That was an insult to him, and that insult created Jana Congress. And he could show that Jana Congress could form government, showing door to Congress in Odisha. When he came back to Congress again, he could see that Congress wins, but it could not win because it became the largest single party, but there was no supporters. And in 1974 was his last election. He could see that the machinations, political machinations, he could give an answer when Pragati Dal or Pragati combined, because all the people who were vying with each other and pulling legs for of each one, they came together for Pragati combined, and Pragati combined won, but could not form the government because they were falling short of 7 seats. And that was his last election. And last 10 years, from 1977 to 1987, probably 2nd of January 1987, he died. Till that day, he was socially connected, politically mature and communicative, and culturally known to the land. So that was his life and contribution throughout, from day one to the last. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Surya Babu, for being exactly that. Most I would have appreciated the decision punctuality. Now I would request my friend, Professor Das Benur, because I like him part of his writing. So please,
Namaskar. Jai Jagannath, Jai Bajrangbali, and my humble regards to the Colossus, Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab. And in the panel, you will see Srijukta Sahadev Sahu, a very, very learned man who never stood second in his entire career. And my elder brother, Professor Sujjanarayan Mishra, and my friend, Dr. Prakash Chandra Sadangi, and Vijay Babu, who is coordinating, Vijay Jaina, Vikram Jaina, because I saw him now only, and all my friends who have come from different parts of the country to participate in this media conclave, and friends in the audience.
we are asked to discuss about Dr. Harikrishna Mahatab's life, work, and contribution. His life was a dedicated life all through. He lived for about 86 years and 1 or 2 months. And his entire life was dedicated to the cause of the people. And his contribution is, I should say, it encompassed the entire range of human activity, whether it is politics, economics, culture, education, literature, even the upliftment of children. So from industry to agriculture, everywhere he had his mark. And you must know that he belonged to two different times. When India was not independent and when India became independent. Since he was born in 1899, just towards the last part, November, and India got independence in 1947, and he died in 1987. So 47 years of dependent India, subjugated India, and 40 years of independent India. You should know that when India got independence in 1947, this independence came to the provinces. There were 11 provinces, 3 chief commissioners provinces, and 1 British Baluchistan. And there were about, but it is exactly 565 princely states. Independence did not come to them. Still those areas, because Dr. Harikrishna Mahatab was not only a leader of the provinces, he was also a leader of the princely states. And you will be astonished to know the greater India, which was created because of the efforts of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Actually, this initiation, my friends who have come from outside Odisha, they must know that the unity of India started from Odisha itself and under the leadership of Dr. Harikrishna Mahatab. We got independence in 1947, August 15 to be exact, and 565 princely states were outside. They were free either to enter into the Indian dominion or to the Pakistan dominion. Accession was not possible. British wanted to balkanize the entire India. But it is Harikrishna Mahatab who started this spark. Nilagiri, a very small state out of the 26 Gajats of Odisha, which merged into the Indian Union on November 14th, 1947. And then onwards, the process of integration started, and we hear about Dr. Vallabhbhai Patel's efforts to unite India through the help of VP Menon, his assistant, so to say, because he was also, if you read that book, Integration of Indian States, you will find the entire story. And as my predecessor was speaking about the beginning of the end book, that also narrates under what circumstances the integration was possible. Now, coming to Dr. Harikrishna Mahatab, I must say, because there are very young people, many young people here, and there is a very happy incident here, because we all four, I think you, Vikram, is from history. Sahadev Sahuji was first class first in political science in his post-graduation. My friend Prakash is a fantastic teacher in political science. He is moving throughout the world talking about political science and different aspects of political science. And Professor Suryanarayan Mishra is also a student of political science, a professor of political science, who is a fantastic teacher also. I am very happy to share this dais with them. And I must say that from among all the leaders in Odisha, it is Hare Krishna Mahatab who was a self-oriented, evolved leader. Because by 1917, he passed matriculation in 1917 with first class, came to Ravenshaw College, had history and economics. Also in 1917, he married, just a 17-year boy. And while he was in Ravenshaw College, Navakrishna Chaudhary, one of our very respected chief ministers of Odisha, he was his college mate. And at that time, he started a handwritten magazine, Malayo, that is in Odia, and another magazine, Dustbin, in English. These two things came out in 1917. Why I am telling this? It is because it is a media conclave. To my mind, if you look at his contribution, he not only contributed for the development of different political aspects, not only work for the entire country through amalgamation of all states, princely states, but also he created a new Odisha. He was a media man. He wrote 38 books, came out with 10 journals and newspapers combined, and some are also still running. I must say, Dr. Mahatab had a school of Dr. Mahatab. You can have a discussion on the school of Dr. Mahatab because he started a newspaper, a weekly it began in 1923, Prajatantra, became a daily in 1930, and it was banned later on, and 1947, again before independence, he started this daily Prajatantra. And astonishingly, his assistant in this process was Biju Patnaik, who became a chief minister later on. His editor was Janaki Vallabh Patnaik, who became a chief minister later on. His newspaper hawker was Viren Mitra, who became a chief minister later on. So from this you can imagine the kind of impact this man had. And Srijukta Sahadev Sahu is here, who knows him from the childhood age, because he had a very good connection with him. And now also you heard about his connection with Professor Mishra. You will be astonished to know this man was not only with media. He published literary magazines. He brought in newspapers in Odia, in English Eastern Times, as he was giving the example. But at the same time, if you look at this political graph, he started his career as a chairman of the district board way back in 1921. He was also, as my friend Prakash Sadangi told you, he was chosen by Subhash Chandra Bose to the Congress Working Committee. He was the first man. He was an MLA, he was an MP, he was a central minister, he was a prime minister of the province before independence, he was the first chief minister of Odisha, and he was also the governor. He was a governor of undivided Bombay. His political life, you touch any point. I was talking about Gujarat movement, Prajamandal movement. Many people do not know about that. And he became also a very prominent member of the State Inquiry Committee. Whatever was going on inside the princely states, people were tortured. They were not getting any kind of freedom. It is already time. Sir, only 5 minutes. Sir, only 5 minutes. So my point is, he was a self-created leader. He was a leader of the masses. And he, as he told you that in 1974, that was the last election, but in 1975 there was emergency and he was hauled up. And he remained in the prison for 18 months. And after 1977, he started a column in his newspaper. Daily he was writing in Prajatantra Ga Majlis. There are 8 volumes. And it continued for a long time, in which he reflected the problems of the people. My last thing is, which everybody should know, he was not only a political leader, not only a social leader, not a visionary, not only a visionary, because he had done all these things from Nandan Kanan to the State Museum to all the academies to Hirakud Bandh, everything, even this All India Radio, this Rice Research Institute. But the greatest contribution is, which no other political leader in this entire country has done. He started creating children from down below. He created Mina Mandal in 1952. There were 710 centers throughout Odisha. And each Mina Mandal, in every school, they had a prime minister, they had a cultural minister, they had a health minister. This Pratibha Rai, in 1955, she was the cultural minister of Balikuda High School. So my point is, this is the only leader who not only created, not only evolved himself, who not only talked about the entire country, who not only created this new Odisha, but also created a host of people, a battery of people who later on became political leaders, social leaders, administrators. I must say, Srijukta Sahadev Sahu is also partly a creation of Dr. Hare Krishna Mahtab. So such a person whose life was totally a story of dedication, and who, in his contribution, voluminous contribution, contributed to all aspects of life. And his work is, I must say, it will go on, because the institutions he has created are still there everywhere. And he adopted a son in the form of Bhartrihari Mahtab, who is continuously an MP for 7 terms. It is not only a contribution of that man who contributed to the arena of politics, contributed to the arena of literature, and also for the development of Odisha. Thank you.
Thank you. Mun koi this, but that's been put him jail. Now, I must thank you for giving a brief note about your intimacy study of his life, giving them out to the people who are from outside Odisha. Now my turn. जय जगन्नाथ समस्तଙ୍କୁ नमस्कार प्रणाम एवं जुआर पॉलिटिशियन में कहते बोली कहीदेली now as you have heard from Das Benhur, I would not have been here had Mahtab not been there. There is some relationship. I am what is nowadays you call it upabhokta, the beneficiary of his political munificence. Because in 1957, though I stood first in matriculation high school certificate examination, first batch, I could not proceed to college because there was no money. I approached so many people, everybody, including Gadadhar Datta, my own MLA, they all refused. Somebody said, you are not my caste, so I can't give you. So a deputy collector, sub-deputy collector was afraid of Mahtab, meeting Mahtab because he was part of the, he took me to Dr. Mahtab and left me at the gate of Chief Minister. Chief Minister's office was in AG Square. 1957 is hardly 9 years of establishment of new capital. So hardly there were few houses. I could see only the electric mast of Bhubaneswar railway station. Then straight walk to the Chief Minister's residence. The man who took me to Dr. Mahtab, he was afraid of Dr. Mahtab because he was Chief Minister, earlier he was Prime Minister. And he being deputy collector, he was very afraid. He said, you fend for yourself. So I went inside. Everybody wanted to drive me out because it is Chief Minister's residence. When I told them I want some money to prosecute my higher education, everyone let me in. And they, to my good fortune, they all came to endure me and took me to the place where Mahtab was sitting. You would be surprised to know that Mahtab, any other politician at that juncture, at that time, would have felt perplexed because Mahtab had come resigning from governorship. Only few April, I think he resigned, and then he has hardly 1.5 months, and he jumbled up Ganatantra Parishad, the Rajas whom he drove out as part of the ministry because Congress had only 30 seats. So it was half the assembly seats. He could not become a coalition government to Ganatantra. So everybody was running to his house. I was sitting in there. It became night, 10 p.m. Everybody went away. Then I was sitting there. Said, why you are sitting here? I said, I want to meet Mahtab, Harishra Mahtab. I need some money to pursue my college education. Then he called me through his PA. You would be all probably reciting Francis Bacon thing, reading maketh a fool man. I think Mahata was a fool man in that sense, because he used to read all the papers he got, all the books he got. Then he said, you have stood fast. But why do you do money? You will get scholarship. I said, scholarship is not available for 6 months. The clock has to be probably has to see me continue, then he will make a bill and get it. Then he said, it is already 10 p.m. I can't give you some money. You come 1 week later. Then I almost cried. They said, why you are unhappy? I said, how do I go back? There is no money to go back. Then he said, how much you need for going back? Then I calculated 2 rupees 75. Then he was Anna, 2 rupees 12 annas. Then he told his PA, Khuntia, to give him some money. He gave me 2 rupees 12 annas. I went back again. After 1 week I came, and he, as per my calculation, he gave me 215 rupees for managing my college days for 6 months, including hostel fees. 215 rupees at that time is equivalent to 27,000 today. And his salary was hardly 8,000 rupees. You can't imagine I consider him a fool man because he knew that something like Sahadev Sahib has stood fast. He didn't scold me or anything. The way he must have been perplexed because he was worried about managing the coalition government. He hardly 1.5 months. Before even his son Bhatwari Mahtab was born. He was born in September. I was in May with Dr. Mahtab. So then because of that, I continued. Had he not given me money, I would have been where? I would have been Dadan Samika or migrant labor, which means I would have died by 38 or 40 years age. I would not have been here. That's why I consider Dr. Mahtab a ready man, fool man, because he knew everything that is happening in Odisha at that time. Then I'm continuously I have been in touch. Then when I was secretary to Ravenshaw College Union in my 3rd year, a message came from Dr. Mahtab. You can meet me. Then some other union leaders were there. He asked me, would you like to join politics? I said, no, political science I will take up. I will not join politics. Then he said, are you finding enough money with your scholarship? I said, somehow I am managing. Then he sanctioned another scholarship, OBC scholarship. But I told him it is not available. You can't take two scholarships at a time. So that scholarship was not. This is next point of contact with him was when I was Baleshwar collector. Nilgiri subdivision was a part of it. And the paper, by that time, Mahata was almost giving up politics because he fell out with Indira Gandhi after 76 emergency. He ran some other organizations on political parties. There I had to meet him and tell him that this is the place where we began the entire integration of the states. Madhubabu, called Mani Madhusudan Das, could create Odisha on the basis of the language, Odia language, but Odisha was not fully complete. It was half done. He who started with the integration of states. Entire India, the Congress movement was only centering on non-state areas. All states, Mahatma Gandhi, etc., they thought they are our own fellows, own kings. So there is no need for independence movement there. It is Mahata who went on telling them, even if our people are with our own kings are being subject to these colonial rules, they are torturing our fellows. People do not have independence, do not have their privileges, rights. It is therefore necessary we have to integrate them. He went on pleading with Mahatma Gandhi. In Calcutta session, he also went on pleading that the Prajamandal Andolan should be part of the Congress movement. They should be integrated. It is he who made our Congress party aware that states people also should be party to the national movement. Nobody else had thought of then. Only Mahatab could tell this because Mahatab had is very near his native place is near Nilgiri. So he knew how people are being treated in the estates. So after he called the states agencies to have a meeting in Cuttack. Nowhere else they had made any meeting. He is only the first person who called all the pencil states of Eastern Agency because he told the Congress, Mahatma Gandhi leader and others, Congress leaders, that unless you integrate these people with us, Odisha cannot develop. If you plan anything, develop anything, you can't do it without Gurjats because the Mahanadi comes through that, roads have to go there, any economic activity has to be whole scale, it can't be peaceful in some subdivision of, then it was only 6 states, 6 districts of Odisha, and that too, Sambalpur was far away, Anugul of course was already part of the Cuttack district. So because he went on persuading Congress party, Congress leaders, that the movement of the people in the Gurjats should be part of the national movement of the Congress. Only then our aim of ushering in independent India will be economically viable. So it is Dr. Mahatab who started the integration process. 1947, he, with then the Revenue Division Commissioner was Senapati. He took him with the permission of the Constitutional government, a police force, and occupied Nilgiri. Nilgiri was occupied, not integrated. First occupied. This is first step entire India, where the Gurjat Rajas, the feudatory states, they were made aware that they have to be part of India. Gurjat, Nilgiri was occupied state, became integrated state in 1948, January 1, but occupied in 1947. because Prajamandal were very furious against the misrule of Nilgiri Raja, and Mahatab knew it from his own experience because his house is near Nilgiri. This Baleshwar district, he belongs to Baleshwar district. That Nilgiri's border is with the Mahatab's birthplace. So that again I came in contact with Dr. Mahatab when I was at RDC Sambalpur. By that time, Mahatab had given up politics. He was entire life he was devoting to Swatantra and other media. He said he called me back. There was Srinivas, other leaders of Sambalpur. He called them outside and he took me to another room and told me, you see, when I was Prime Minister, I could integrate South Odisha to North Odisha because I made them Prime Ministers. Navakrishna Chaudhary, Pala Maharaja, all these they were from South. Not Navakrishna Chaudhary, Pala Maharaja and his coterie people from Ganjam district. But now time has come to integrate Western Odisha with Eastern Odisha. What to do? Then he gave me this story, which I also read. He said during Second World War, when Japan was coming to invade, were sending airplanes to Odisha, the bombed Kakata, the British government were afraid that Odisha may be target. That's why they sent a detachment of from the cantonment, Kotak cantonment, to Sambalpur to locate where the capital should be shifted. During that time, a part of people who went from Kotak, they misbehaved with people of Sambalpur. You would be probably happy to know Sambalpur ladies were better looking at that time. So they, from that time, Sambalpuri Kotaki feeling became very intense. Mahatab said, now that that period is over, I have come here to establish Hirakonda Trust, as I have done in Prajantra Trust in Cuttack, which made entire Odisha aware. I created a sense of democracy among the people and sense of equal integration of one language. I also want to integrate Western Odisha with the Eastern Odisha. So Hirakonda Trust he established. I was when he made me member. I said, as governor, I can't be member. So he dropped me, but I was invited to the meetings. There entire effort was to find out a leader from Western Odisha who can be equal to Chief Minister or Deputy Chief Minister. He, of course, he could not live longer. I was in 83, 84, RDC. So within 4 years, his life ended. So obviously he could not proceed, but he made people aware that Sambalpur, which was part of Odisha, on creation of Odisha province, should not be alienated from coastal Odisha. Sambalpuri Kotaki feeling should not develop further. So he set up Hirakonda Express, Hirakonda Press, and just like Prajantra, Prajantra Kotak became a center of literary activity. Sambalpur, he wanted Sambalpur to be a literary activity, a center of literary activity. He wanted to give them prizes, bring them up, children and ladies section he also opened, but he could not live long. But 2-3 things he took my help, I took his help also. One is the Kala Vikas Kendra of Balangir, which Raja wanted to take back, and Janaki Babu here, President also, Chief Minister, wanted to help them, let them take over. I said, I can't give it because as per the law, the trust which the Raja had created, it lapsed as with the pencil states, and the Raja is replaced by commissioner in the trust. So Kalavikas Kendra Trust chairman was RDC. So I objected, but KP Singh, though, Denkal Raja and in connivance with Janaki Babu, they wanted to take it back. So I resisted. Then I told Mohtab, this is happening. Mohtab, who was then there in Hirak, I think running the Hirakund Trust, in the circuit office of Sambalpur, he took me aside. I said, I will handle this. You don't get afraid of Chief Minister. So he gave me enough strength to stop it and make it RDC the chairman. And till now, you have that Kalavikas Kendra in Balangir. It would have gone to the Rajas. Another activity which he said, he told me, he said, I wanted to integrate this Western Odisha with the Eastern Odisha, Kotak, etc., because the Mahanadi was the scourge of Odisha. 1931, he had met Mahatma Gandhi, that is Calcutta session, and pleaded with him that Hirakud should be dammed. Then, during this, the talk went on, and Mr. Sarai, etc., they came and did the investigation. But the war intervened, nothing would happen. But when he became again, 1945, when became Prime Minister, Odisha, then he again took it up. Then the Chief Minister was not there until 1950, January 26, when the Constitution adopted, it became Chief Minister. Earlier it was called Prime Minister. So the Rustom Mahta was the Prime Minister, pleaded with Mahatma Gandhi, who advised him to meet our governor, Hatan Lewis, and take it up with the government. Government of India took it up. Then 1943, the Sambalpur, the waters, Sambalpur agitation came up. These people in the peninsular states, they were afraid that this might be Mahtab's entire strategy is to integrate the entire thing. They set up a parallel agitation against Hirakud. Because of the World War situation, this stopped, but then it again came up in 1946. So at that time, he organized another, organized people's movement to counter Raja Balangir Patna. Balangir Patna, now it was called Patna. Balangir Patna Raja Rajendran Singh, whom later on he was made a coalition government with him. The peasants' revolution against the peasants' movement against Hirakud was stopped by his own ingenuity. He gathered people from Sambalpur who stopped and then he used also the police force to stop it. And after that, you would be amazed to know that when, it was not even detailed project, but had not been made. He laid the foundation stone in 1946 through the British governor, and there was a lot of agitation, but he managed with the support of the people. The Sambalpur leaders at that time were very reluctant to come up, but he took them into his ministry, and got it, even concrete work started, even if when the project was not ready, DPR was not, detailed project was not ready, he got it, got the Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, to lay the concrete work. It is he who brought the Hirakud dam. Otherwise, the Hirakud dam would not have come up, because no other people are willing to get. Western Odisha is against it. Similarly, he started Raukala steel plant. He started all those. If you recall, he created all the industries which Biju Patnaik takes claim. He was the Minister of Industry and Supplies in Government of India after independence. and through his help, Odisha got all these industries. And Mahatab's idea was to decentralize industries, do not make them centered in presidency towns like Calcutta, Bombay, Delhi. That's why you get pencil in Pimpi, Bangalore, you get HL work, all Sindri fertilizer. During his time, this has come up. Nowadays, you are always searching for metro towns. Then another thing came when I was RTC, that J.B. Patnaik wanted Balco to set up aluminum industry in the where you have got that Vidal Nursing Mandir in the Paikamal. Then the entire area, if you, those of you who do not know, if you ever visit that, there is Vidal Nursing temple, that full of Gandhamardan Parvat of Gandhamardan mountain, full of medicine. There is an Ayurvedic college. So entire people are against it. I was there, the government asked me to help it. Then Mahata was in one of his visit in Sambalpur in 1982, 83. We had a meeting, he had a meeting, and people all said that if this is taken away, the environment will be damaged, our Ayurvedic institution will be damaged, the entire thing will become desert. So the environment association Mahtab created, and people made a lot of noise. As RTC, we said, I told the government that we can't help because this is people, this is against people's wishes. Particularly, Balco made advertisements saying that some Paikamal, Padampur, the province is Bihar, because that time, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh had not been created. So all this weighed heavily with the people, and then people stopped it. And now you see, though Balco, other companies, they have purchased land, they had purchased land near Gandhamardan, they could not set up the factory there. Even now it is not done. So in that sense, with Mahatab's life, I am in a sort of, though not politically associated, administratively I have been associated. And had he lived probably 3-4 months or years more, the Western Odisha feeling would have been fully probably annihilated, fully wiped out. He, the man who, as he has done between South Odisha and North Odisha, because he gave chief ministership to South Odisha fellows, so, or deputy chief ministership. Similarly, he wanted people from Sambalpur to dominate also Odisha politics, but he could not generate the climate because he hardly stayed 3-4 years more. 87 he went away. But I am grateful that I am a living facsimile of Mahatab's munificence. Had Mahatab not been there, probably I would not have been here. I would not have been able to, what to talk of presiding a meeting, I would not have been seen even in Ravenshaw College or come to this magnificent building. So I would, again in memoriam, I will tell that because I am here, I am a living specimen, facsimile, living fossil of Mahatab's life. So this is my tribute to him. And people tell, people always confuse who gave the name, gave the appellation, the epithet, Utkal Kesari. In fact, while talking to him in Sambalpur when I was RDC, he himself gave it. People have been calling me Utkal Kesari because they think I have made few persons like lion raises its cubs. I have created Biju Patnaik, I have created Miran Mitra. So that's why he is called Kesari this is from his own mouth. But he said, I don't like to be called Kesari. I would like to be remembered as a father of Odisha, in the sense that what people nowadays call, if they stand something, I'm going to fulfill my father's Adhura Sapna. Is it this Madhubabu's Adhura Sapna was fulfilled by Dr. Mahta. The Odisha was only six districts, all states merged because of Mahta, and we owe our entire Utkal existence to Dr. Mahta's greatness. Thank you. Jai Jagannath. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your illuminating and very inspiring words and your affiliation and experiences with Dr. Mahtab. Now, I would like to invite chairperson of this ninth National Media Conclave, Professor Upendra Padi, to give a small token of appreciation to the speakers and panelists for their contribution toward academic and public life. At the outset, I would like to give in the vote of thanks to the very brilliant minds of our state, Professor Prakash Chandra Sadangi, Professor Das Beneru, Professor Surya Kumar Mishra, and Sri Saudab Sahu for his very enlightening and very emulating words with engaging the entire session. This is not the end, but I hope if we are discussion on Dr. Mahtab, we need consecutively 5 days to his contributions towards state, towards country, and towards world. Without Prajatantra, no one can understand the Dr. Mahatab's contributions towards the world of literature, world of journalism, and the world of public luminaries as he set the agenda for a vibrant state called Odisha. Where we stand, the capital itself, the brainchild of Dr. Mahatab. His journey started from Bhadrak to Bhubaneswar, then Bhubaneswar to Delhi, and then now the Gujarat and Maharashtra, the governor of Bombay. His orchestric journey was not very simple. Its core and it's understanding many ways to understand what he not. It is a very successful and very illuminating panelist. Those are exchange their valuable words to you. And once again, thank you all of you to patience hearing us. Thank you. Now, all the delegates to please join the launch session and immediately launch. You can back to this auditorium for next other sessions. And those are going to present the paper. They can see the chat and join there. Thank you.